The conference hall on Nexus Prime was bigger than anything Minho had ever seen. Glass walls showed the stars stretching in every direction. Huge aliens walked past him, some with scales, some with crystals growing from their skin, some that looked like walking insects. They all made him feel very small. Minho Kim was only 23 years old. He stood just 5 feet and 6 inches tall. Back on Earth, that was normal. Here, surrounded by aliens who were 8 or 9 feet tall, he felt like a child. He wore his best black suit, trying to look professional. His badge said he was a diplomatic assistant. It did not make him feel more important. Ambassador Jiwon Park walked beside him. She was his boss and his teacher. She had been doing this job for 20 years. She knew how to talk to aliens. She knew how to stay calm when they said mean things about humans. "Remember," she said quietly, "they will test you. They will try to make you angry. Do not let them see that it hurts." Minho nodded. He had studied hard for this job. He knew about all the different alien species. He knew their languages, their customs, their histories. But knowing facts from books was different from standing in a room full of creatures who thought humans were weak. The meeting was about to start. Earth wanted to join the Galactic Council officially. Right now, humans were just observers. They could watch but not vote. They could speak, but nobody had to listen. Ambassador Park was going to ask the council to change that. During the first break, Minho went to the diplomatic lounge. It was a huge room with comfortable chairs and tables full of strange food and drinks. He got himself some water and found a quiet corner. He wanted to review his notes, but quiet was hard to find. 3 aliens came and sat near him. They were Solaran, the insect-like species with shining green shells and too many eyes. One of them made a clicking sound with its mouth parts. The others laughed. Minho knew they were talking about him. "Look at the soft pink one," one Solaran said in the common trade language. "So small, so weak. They want to join the council, but they can barely survive on their own planet." Minho kept his face blank. He pretended to read his datapad. Inside, he felt his heart beating faster. He wanted to say something. He wanted to defend his species. But Ambassador Park had told him to stay calm. A Melkor joined the group. The Melkor looked like giant fish that somehow walked on 2 legs. This one had blue scales that sparkled under the lights. It made a bubbling sound that was laughter. "Humans are barely past their cradle world," the Melkor said. "They have been in space for less than 100 years. Children playing with starships. More aliens gathered around. They seemed to enjoy making fun of humans." Minho felt his face getting hot. His hands made fists without him meaning to do it. He forced himself to breathe slowly. Then the room went quiet. Suddenly. Completely. Like someone had turned off all sound. Minho looked up. Everyone was moving away from the entrance. They pressed against the walls. They lowered their heads or their eye stalks or whatever they used to show respect. A Krovan had entered the lounge. Minho had seen pictures of the Krovan. Pictures did not do them justice. The creature that walked into the room was 8 feet tall. Its scales were black like polished stone and caught the light like metal. It walked on 2 powerful legs. Its arms were thick with muscle. Each hand had 4 fingers tipped with claws that could probably tear through steel. The Krovan's head was reptilian, with intelligent golden eyes that seemed to see everything. A ridge of spines ran from its head down its back. When it breathed, Minho could see rows of sharp teeth. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Krovan. They were the apex predators, the top of the food chain. Their warriors were legendary. They served as elite guards and mercenaries. Nobody messed with the Krovan. Nobody. The Krovan looked around the room slowly. Its golden eyes passed over the Solaran, over the Melkor, over all the other aliens. They all stayed very still. Then those eyes landed on Minho. Minho's breath caught in his throat. The Krovan was staring right at him. He wanted to look away, but he could not. Something in those eyes held him frozen. The Krovan started walking, straight toward Minho. Every step made a heavy thud on the floor. Other aliens moved out of the way quickly. They did not want to be between the Krovan and whatever it was hunting. Minho's training told him to stay calm, to show respect but not fear. He stood up slowly. He was so much smaller than the Krovan. The creature's chest was level with his head. He had to look up to meet those golden eyes. The Krovan stopped right in front of him. For a long moment it just looked at him, studying him. Minho could smell something sharp and clean like stone after rain. Then the Krovan spoke. Its voice was deep like thunder rolling across mountains. "You small warrior, I would speak with you." The room exploded in whispers. Confused chirps and clicks and bubbles filled the air. The Krovan ignored them all. It kept looking at Minho. Minho's mouth was dry. He managed to speak. "Of course, I am honored." His voice sounded small to his own ears. The Krovan nodded once. "Come." It turned and walked toward a side door. Minho followed. Behind him, the lounge erupted in loud talking. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. Why would a Krovan want to talk to a human? Why would it call him warrior? What did it mean? Minho had no answers. He just followed the massive creature through the door and into a quieter hallway. His legs felt weak, but he kept walking. Whatever this was about, running was not an option. And somehow, deep down, he did not want to run. The Krovan led him to an observation deck. One wall was entirely glass, showing space in all its glory. Stars scattered across the darkness like diamonds. A nebula glowed in the distance, purple and blue and beautiful. They were alone now, just Minho and this apex predator. The door slid shut behind them. The Krovan walked to the window. It looked out at the stars for a moment. Then it started to move around Minho, slowly, like it was studying him from every angle. Minho stayed still. This felt like a test. He did not know what the right answer was. Finally, the Krovan spoke again. "Tell me, human Minho Kim, what do you see when you look at the stars?" Minho blinked. That was not what he expected. He thought about the question. He could give a diplomatic answer, something safe and boring. But something told him this creature wanted the truth. "I see possibility," Minho said slowly. "I see places we have not been yet. Things we have not learned. I see the future that humans have been reaching for since we first looked up at the night sky on Earth." He paused, then kept going. The words came easier now. "We are newcomers here. We are small and weak compared to most species. We know this. But we did not let that stop us. We built ships with our soft hands. We taught ourselves to survive in space even though we were made for one planet. Every time someone said we could not do something, we did it anyway. Not because we are strong, because we refused to give up." The Krovan had stopped moving. It stood very still, listening. "Back on Earth," Minho continued, "we were not the strongest. We did not have the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. We did not have poison or armor or the ability to fly. But we survived anyway. We became the top species on our planet not by being the best at any one thing. We did it by never stopping. By working together. By figuring out solutions when there seemed to be no way forward." He met the Krovan's eyes. "That is what I see in the stars. The same journey, just bigger. The same challenge. And the same answer. We keep going." Silence filled the observation deck. The Krovan did not move. Minho wondered if he had said something wrong. Maybe he should not have been so honest. Then something amazing happened. The Krovan lowered its head slightly. Its throat was exposed. Minho had read about this gesture. Among the Krovan, it was a sign of respect. Real respect. The kind given only to equals. "You understand," the Krovan said quietly. "Your people understand. This is why I have come to this summit." Minho did not know what to say. I do not understand what you mean." The Krovan's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "I am Velthrak, High Pack leader of the Krovan Empire. I have traveled far to see you. Not you specifically, but humans. Your kind." Minho's eyes went wide. The High Pack leader? That was like their king or their general or both. "Why?" Velthrak turned to look at the stars again. "Because for millions of years we thought we were alone. We conquered our world. We reached the stars. We met hundreds of species, and none of them were like us. None of them understood what it meant to be what we are." He looked back at Minho. "Then we found humans, small, weak in body, but in your eyes, in your actions, in your very nature. You are the same as us. You are hunters who never give up. You are pack creatures who protect each other. You survived not by being strong, but by being persistent, by being smart, by being together." Minho felt something strange in his chest. Pride, yes, but also recognition. Like Velthrak was saying something he had always known but never put into words. "The others mock you," Velthrak said. "They see your soft skin and small size. They think you are weak. They are fools. They do not understand what makes a true predator. It is not claws or teeth. It is here." He tapped his chest. "And here," he tapped his head. "The will to hunt. The patience to wait. The courage to face prey larger than yourself. The bond with your pack that makes you stronger together. Velthrak extended a massive hand. I did not come to this summit to watch humans. News traveled fast through Nexus Prime. By the time the summit resumed, everyone knew that Velthrak had spent private time with the human assistant. Whispers filled every corridor. Speculation ran wild in every meeting room. Minho sat in his assigned seat trying to focus on the proceedings. But he could feel eyes on him. Some curious, some suspicious, some angry. The other species did not like this development. A Krovan showing interest in humans made them nervous. Ambassador Park leaned close during a break in the speeches. Her voice was very quiet. What happened? What did he want? Minho kept his eyes forward. He says we are the same. Humans and Krovan. He says we are both persistence hunters. That we evolved the same way. Park was quiet for a moment. That is significant, very significant. Do you understand what this could mean? I think so. If the Krovan support us, the Council will have to take us seriously. More than that, the Krovan have never allied with anyone. They stand alone. They always have. If they choose to stand with us. She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. After the summit session ended for the day, Minho returned to the human delegation quarters. He wanted to rest, to process everything that had happened. But there was a message waiting for him. From Velthrak, the message was simple, an invitation to the Krovan sector of the station. Tonight. Come alone. Ambassador Park was not happy about it. It could be dangerous. We do not know what they want. But there was someone else there, a man Minho had not seen before. Tall and thin with gray hair and sharp eyes. Ambassador Park introduced him as Deho Choi, a xenobiologist who had spent years studying Krovan culture. You should go, Deho said. This is unprecedented. The High Pack leader does not issue casual invitations. He wants to show you something important. He pulled up images on a screen. Pictures of Krovan. Pictures of humans. Side by side. Look at this. Really look. The Krovan evolved on a world they call Kreshval. It was a death world. Extreme temperatures. Dangerous predators everywhere. Limited food sources. Sound familiar? Minho studied the images. Like Earth during the Ice Ages, exactly. The Krovan survived the same way humans did. Not by being the biggest or strongest. By working together. By hunting in packs. By tracking prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. They call it the long hunt, we call it persistence hunting. But it is the same thing. Deho pulled up more data. Hunting strategies, social structures, tool use. The similarities were stunning. Most species in the galaxy evolved differently, Deho explained. The Solaran were prey animals. They survived by hiding and breeding fast. The Melkor were scavengers. The Prismatics do not even eat. They absorb energy from their sun. None of them understand what it means to be a persistence predator. He looked at Minho seriously. The Krovan have been alone for millions of years. The only persistence hunters in a galaxy full of prey and scavengers. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how lonely that must be? Minho thought about it. To be unique. To have no one who truly understood you. To look at every other species and see nothing of yourself reflected back. Then they found us, he said quietly. Then they found you. Small, weak in body, but with the same eyes, the same spirit, the same instincts. You are not alone anymore. Neither are they. So Minho went. He walked through the station to the Krovan sector. The corridors here were different, wider, taller, built for massive bodies. The lighting was dimmer, more like twilight. It felt like walking into a cave system. 2 Krovan guards stood at an entrance. They were even bigger than Velthrak. Their armor was dark metal covered in sharp edges. They watched Minho approach with glowing eyes. One of them rumbled something in the Krovan language. Minho had studied it, but speaking was different from reading. He tried anyway. Velthrak invited me. Minho Kim. The guards looked at each other. Then one stepped aside. The door opened. They let him through without a word. Inside was a large hall. The ceiling was high and arched. The walls were covered in carvings. Scenes of hunts, battles, great achievements. This was a place of honor. Velthrak stood in the center with several other Krovan. They were all looking at a holographic display. Images of Earth, specifically images of human hunters, ancient humans tracking animals across grasslands, running for hours in the heat, following footprints in broken branches, wearing down prey that was faster but could not run forever. The humans never gave up. They just kept coming, mile after mile, hour after hour, until the prey collapsed. Velthrak saw Minho and gestured him forward. Brothers, this is Minho Kim, the human I told you about. The other Krovan turned to look at him. Minho felt very small, very exposed, but he stood straight. He met their eyes one by one. One Krovan with red markings on her scales stepped closer. So small, so soft. How can this be the same as us? Velthrak's voice was firm. Watch, he changed the hologram. Now it showed a Krovan hunt, ancient Krovan before they had technology. They moved through a rocky landscape, following a massive creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a dinosaur. The creature was huge, fast, deadly. But the Krovan did not try to fight it head-on. They followed it. Day after day, night after night, taking turns, working as a pack, never letting it rest, never letting it eat or drink in peace, wearing it down. Finally, after 5 days, the creature could not run anymore. It collapsed. The Krovan approached carefully. They made the kill quickly, with respect. Then Velthrak showed the human hunt again, side by side. The methods were nearly identical. Different planets, different prey, different hunters, but the same strategy, the same patience, the same understanding that persistence beats power. The red-marked Krovan made a sound. Surprise. Understanding. I see it now. The way they move, the way they coordinate. It is the long hunt. Another Krovan, older with scars across his face, spoke. But they have no claws, no teeth worth mentioning. How did they survive? Minho found himself speaking. We made tools, spears, arrows, later guns. We used our minds to make up for what our bodies lacked. And we worked together. Always together. The scarred Krovan tilted his head. Tool users, like us. We too learned to shape stone and metal to aid the hunt. Velthrak walked to a wall. He touched one of the carvings. This is the first principle of the pack. It has been our way for 1,000,000 years. Listen. He recited words in the Krovan language. Then translated. The lone hunter dies. The pack endures. Strength is not in the individual, but in the bond. We hunt together. We protect each other. We share the kill. This is what separates us from beasts. Minho felt a chill run down his spine. Those words could have come from any human culture. From any time in history. The details changed, but the core truth was the same. We have the same principle, he said. Different words. Same meaning. No human survives alone. We need each other. Always have. Always will. The Krovan in the room were silent. Then one by one they performed the gesture. The lowering of the head. The exposure of the throat. Recognition. Respect. Velthrak approached Minho. In his hand was a knife. The blade was dark metal with a beautiful pattern. The handle was wrapped in leather. Among my people we have a ritual. The recognition of kin. It is performed when we recognize another as pack. As family, as true kindred, he cut his palm. Dark blood welled up. Blood recognizes blood. Hunter recognizes hunter. These truths cannot be denied. He offered the knife to Minho. Handle first. Waiting. Minho understood what this meant. This was not just symbolic. This was real, final. Once done, it could not be undone. The galaxy would see a human and a Krovan as brothers. He thought about Ambassador Park, about Earth, about humanity trying to find its place among the stars. This could change everything, for better or worse. But he also thought about what Deho had said, about the Krovan being alone for so long, about finding others who understood, who shared the same soul, the same nature, the same way of seeing the universe. Minho took the knife. The blade was sharp. It cut clean. His red blood mixed with Velthrak's darker blood as they clasped hands. By blood we bind, Velthrak said. By hunt we honor. By pack we endure. You are my brother now, Minho Kim. And through you your species is bonded to mine. The other Krovan began a low rumbling sound. It was not threatening. It was ceremonial. A song without words. It filled the hall and resonated in Minho's chest. Minho spoke clearly. I accept this bond. For myself and my people, we are honored to be recognized by the Krovan, to be called brother by the apex predators of the galaxy. Velthrak smiled. That fierce, toothy smile. The galaxy does not understand yet. They see our size, our claws, our teeth. They fear us. But fear is not respect. They do not see what makes us truly dangerous. He gestured to the carvings on the walls. These show our victories, our conquests, but they do not show the truth. The truth is that we never give up. We never stop. We track our prey across star systems if we must. We plan for decades, for centuries. This is what makes us apex predators. And now, the scarred Krovan said, there are 2 species with this nature, 2 packs of persistence hunters. What will the galaxy do when it understands? They will try to separate us, Velthrak said. They will try to make us enemies. They are comfortable with Krovan standing alone. 2 species working together? That terrifies them. Let them be terrified, the red-marked Krovan said. Let them see what happens when hunters unite. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Counselor Thex, the senior Solaran diplomat, was clicking so loudly that the translation system struggled to keep up. This is unacceptable. A Krovan performing a blood ritual with a human? This is political theater, a manipulation. Velthrak stood at the Krovan delegation table. He had not sat down since the session began. His presence dominated the room. Manipulation? His voice was calm but dangerous. I have performed the recognition of kin. This is sacred to my people. You dare call it theater? Thex's mandibles clacked nervously, but he pressed on. Then prove it. Prove that humans deserve such recognition. The Krovan are warriors, hunters, apex predators. Humans are small, weak, new to the galaxy. What evidence is there that they are worthy of such an honor? Minos sat in the human section, his bandaged hand resting on the table. He could feel the eyes of the entire council on them. This was the moment. The challenge they knew would come. Ambassador Park stood slowly. She spoke with careful precision. With respect, Counselor Thex, the recognition of kin is a Krovan matter. The High-Pack leader has made his choice. The council has no authority over Krovan cultural practices. A Melkor representative burbled loudly. But it affects us all. The Krovan have stood alone for millennia. Now they claim kinship with the newest species. It changes the power balance. Velthrak turned to face the Melkor. Does it frighten you? The thought of 2 hunter species working together? Perhaps it should. The room fell silent. That was a direct threat. The Krovan never made threats lightly. Thex saw an opening. Then let us test this claim. The Krovan have traditions for proving worth. Let us use one. Let a human attempt a Krovan trial. If they succeed, we will accept this brotherhood. If they fail, we will know the truth. Velthrak considered this. His eyes found Minho across the chamber. A silent question. Minho stood. His legs felt weak, but he made them strong. He knew what was coming. He had known since Velthrak first called him brother. I will take the trial. Ambassador Park turned to him sharply. Minho, no. You do not know what they will ask. But Velthrak was already speaking. The trial of the hunt, traditional fare. A human will track and tag a void stalker on Kreshnar. This is the same trial young Krovan warriors face. Thex's mandibles spread wide, a Silaran smile. A void stalker? But that trial is designed for Krovan physiology. A human attempting it is suicide. Exactly my point, Velthrak said. If a human can complete a Krovan trial designed for Krovan, then the proof is absolute. They are worthy. Ambassador Park grabbed Minho's arm. Her voice was urgent and low. Do you understand what you are agreeing to? A void stalker is 12 feet tall. It has thermal vision. It can go weeks without food. Krovan warriors train their whole lives for this, and some still fail. Minho looked at her, then at Velthrak, then at the council members who thought humans were weak, small, worthless. I understand, and I will do it. The council voted to allow the trial. It was almost unanimous. They wanted to see the human fail. They wanted proof that Velthrak was wrong. Minho had 12 hours to prepare. He spent it with Deho Choi and a new face, a woman named Young Mi Han. She introduced herself as a special forces operator. She had been on the station the whole time, secretly assigned to protect him. The Void Stalker is an ambush predator, Deho explained, showing holographic data. It waits in dense jungle. It hunts by heat signature. It is patient. It can wait days for the perfect moment to strike. So I cannot hide from it, Minho said. It will always know where I am. Correct. Krovan warriors use their size and speed. They track it to its territory. Then they use strength to force a confrontation. But you cannot do that. Young Mi leaned forward. You need a different strategy. Use what humans are good at. What am I good at? Minho felt the weight of the task. I am not strong, not fast, not tough. No, Youngmi said. But you are patient. You can plan. You can outlast. That is what persistence hunting is. You do not need to be stronger than your prey. You just need to be more stubborn. They worked through the night, studying the terrain of Kreshnar, learning the behavior patterns of void stalkers, planning not for a fight but for a marathon. When dawn came, Minho stood on the transport ship. Captain Hyeron's Song of the Indomitable was at the controls. She was there for emergency extraction. Just in case, the council will be watching through drones, she said. Every moment will be broadcast. No pressure, Minho tried to smile. No pressure. They dropped him at the edge of the Void Stalker's territory. He had basic equipment. A tracker to find the creature. A tagging dart gun, water, minimal food. The rules were simple. Track the Void Stalker. Tag it, survive. The jungle was thick and hot. Volcanic vents created clouds of steam. The thermal interference would make it harder for the Void Stalker to find him immediately. But it also meant he could not see far. Back on Nexus Prime, the entire council watched. In the human quarters, Ambassador Park could barely breathe. In the Krovan sector, Velthrak watched with intense focus. Counselor Thek sat back in satisfaction. The human would fail, then this foolish alliance would end. Day 1 began. Minho did not rush. He moved slowly through the jungle. He was not looking for the Void Stalker directly. He was learning the territory, finding water sources, identifying game trails, locating the volcanic vents. The tracker showed the Void Stalker was nearby. Watching, waiting. It had seen him, but had not attacked. It was being patient too, waiting for Minho to make a mistake. In the council chamber, Thex clicked with amusement. Look at him. He is not even trying to hunt it. He wanders like a lost child. But Velthrak leaned forward. No, watch closely. He is learning, mapping, preparing. Minho set up observation posts, hidden spots where he could watch and rest. He marked paths through the jungle. He studied the Void Stalker's movements through the tracker. The creature had patterns, routes it preferred, places it returned to. As the sun set on day 1, he had not made contact with the Void Stalker, but he understood its territory now. He knew where it hunted, where it rested, how it moved. Day 2 began. Now Minho started to move with purpose. He went to the volcanic vents. He used rocks to redirect the steam, creating noise, creating heat signatures that were not him. The Void Stalker noticed. It moved to investigate. Found nothing. Minho was already somewhere else, doing it again. And again. Daiho, watching from the human quarters, understood first. He is hurting it, making it move where he wants. The Void Stalker was confused. Its territory was being disrupted. Strange heat sources appeared and disappeared. Noises came from unexpected places. It started to chase these false signals, running from one place to another. Using energy. Getting frustrated, Minho never confronted it. He stayed hidden. Stayed moving. Kept the pressure on. The creature was being hunted and it did not even realize it. In the council chamber, the Melkor representative burbled quietly. Is this how humans hunt? Velthrak's voice was proud. This is how we both hunt. Not with strength. With strategy. With patience. With the understanding that prey will eventually make a mistake. Day 3. The Void Stalker was exhausted. It had been running in circles for 2 days. Its territory was chaos. It could not rest, could not hunt properly. Every time it tried to settle, something happened. Another noise. Another heat signature. Another disturbance. Minho was tired too. His feet hurt. His body ached. But he had water. He had planned his route to minimize effort. And he had purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing. The tracker showed the Void Stalker slowing down. It was making mistakes. Getting sloppy. The apex predator was being worn down by a creature a fraction of its size. By afternoon of day 3, Minho made his move. He walked straight toward the Void Stalker's last known position. No more tricks. No more hiding. Just direct approach. He found it in a clearing. The creature was massive. 12 feet of muscle and claws and teeth. Its scales were dark green. Its eyes were yellow and fierce. It looked at Minho and growled. A sound that shook the air, but it did not attack. It was too tired. Too confused? too worn down by 3 days of constant pressure. Minho raised the dart gun. His hand was steady. He spoke to the council watching through the drones. You see weakness in our small bodies. You see prey animals. But you forget something important about humans. Back on Earth, we did not outrun our prey. We did not overpower it. We walked it to death. He fired. The dart hit the Void Stalker's shoulder. The tag was made. The trial was complete, mile after mile, day after day, until the strongest prey animal on our planet simply stopped. That is what we are. Not the fastest, not the strongest, just the ones who never ever stop coming. The Void Stalker collapsed, not dead, just exhausted, defeated not by force but by persistence, by strategy, by the same methods humans had used for hundreds of thousands of years. In the council chamber there was absolute silence. Even Thex had no words. Velthrak stood. His voice carried through the chamber. Now do you understand why I call this small human brother? Look not at his size. Look at what he did. Look at what his species is. The transport ship picked Minho up. Captain Hire and Song hugged him the moment he climbed aboard. He was dirty and tired, and his hand still hurt from the blood ritual, but he had done it. Proven humanity's worth, shown the galaxy that size and strength were not everything, when he returned to Nexus Prime. 3 weeks after Minho's return, the galaxy was still talking. Videos of the hunt had spread across every network. The small human who defeated a Krovan trial. The apex predator who called that human brother. But recognition came with consequences. The council could no longer dismiss humans as weak. They could not ignore the bond between humanity and the Krovan. This changed everything. Minho sat in a strategy meeting with Ambassador Park and other human officials. There was a new face at the table. Seokjin Im, a military strategist from Earth. He had arrived on the first ship after news of the bond reached home. The council is afraid, Seokjin said. For the first time in centuries, they face an unknown variable. 2 persistence hunter species working together. They do not know what that means for them. Ambassador Park nodded. Some want to separate us. Others want to use us against each other. We must be careful, but the universe had other plans. That very day, an emergency session was called. Every delegation scrambled to the council chamber. Something big was happening. When Minho entered, he could feel the panic in the air. Species that normally stood proud were huddled together. Even Councillor Thex looked genuinely frightened. The council chair, a prismatic named Loomis, called the session to order. His crystalline body pulsed with stress colors. We face a crisis. The Velkoth swarm has breached the outer systems. 17 colonies have been consumed. Our fleets have engaged them. We are losing. Holographic displays showed the horror. The Velkoth were a hive mind species. Billions of individual creatures acting as one. They consumed everything in their path. Organic matter, technology, entire worlds. We have tried everything, a Melkor admiral reported. Direct assault, containment, targeted strikes. They adapt too quickly. They overwhelm with numbers. We cannot stop them. Minho watched the displays, studied the patterns of attack. The swarm moved fast, consumed, moved on, like locust, but worse. Much worse. Then Councillor Thex spoke. His tone was desperate. We need a new strategy, new thinking. And we have 2 species here who claim to be superior hunters. The Krovan and their human brothers. If they are truly apex predators, let them prove it. Let them plan our counterattack. It was a trap. Minho could see it clearly. If humans and Krovan failed, they would be blamed for countless deaths. If they succeeded, the prey species would forever fear them. Ambassador Park started to object, but Velthrak's voice cut through the chamber. We accept. He looked at Minho. This is not a trap, brother. This is an opportunity. Let the hunters hunt. The council voted quickly. A joint task force would be formed. Humans and Krovan would lead the strategy. They had full access to all intelligence, all resources, and all responsibility for what came next. The task force assembled in a secure room. Minho felt completely out of his depth. He was a diplomatic assistant, not a military commander. But Velthrak had requested him specifically. The group was small. Velthrak and 2 other Krovan officers, Minho, Seokjin Im, and a new arrival, a woman introduced as Mirai Kang, a xenopsychologist who specialized in predator species behavior. Let us look at what we know, Velthrak said. Holographic displays filled the room with data. Swarm movements, battle reports, analysis of Velkoth biology. The council military leaders presented their strategies. All had failed. The swarm adapted to every tactic within hours. It was like fighting water. It flowed around obstacles. It found every weakness. Mirai studied the data carefully. I see the problem. The Velkoth are an ambush predator species that evolved into a hive mind. They are used to overwhelming prey quickly. Every strategy the council has tried plays to the swarm's strengths. Seokjin leaned forward. What if we do not try to stop them? What if we let them chase? The room went quiet. The council officers looked confused. Explain, Velthrak said. The swarm has never faced a persistent strategy. They consume and move on. They are like a sprinter, fast but they cannot maintain it forever. What if we make them run? Draw them out. Let them overextend their supply lines. Minho understood immediately, like the Void Stalker. We do not fight them head-on. We exhaust them. Velthrak's eyes gleamed. A persistence hunt. On a galactic scale, we make the swarm the prey. One of the Krovan officers, a female named Namira, studied the star maps. We would need to sacrifice territory, draw them deeper into council space. Many colonies would be lost, yes, Seokjin said grimly, but we evacuate first. Save the people. Let the swarm have empty worlds. Each one stretches them thinner. Makes them weaker, Mirai added details. The hive mind requires connection, coordination. The farther they spread, the harder that becomes. Eventually, they will reach a breaking point. The central nodes will be vulnerable. Then we strike, Velthrak said. One coordinated attack. Take out the central nodes. The swarm collapses. They worked through the night. Planning routes. Calculating swarm expansion rates. Identifying which colonies could be evacuated in time. It was brutal mathematics, cold decisions about which worlds to abandon. Minho felt sick. We are asking people to leave their homes, to watch their worlds be destroyed. Velthrak placed a hand on his shoulder. Yes, this is what hunters sometimes must do. Sacrifice the few to save the many. It is never easy. But it is necessary. By morning, they had a complete strategy. They presented it to the full council. The reaction was immediate and loud. You want us to abandon frontier colonies? A Silaran counselor was clicking with outrage. To let the swarm take them. The people will be evacuated, Minho explained. Every citizen. Every family. The swarm will find empty worlds, worthless to them but costly to maintain. And then, Counselor Thex demanded, Seokjin brought up tactical displays. We draw them into the Krell expanse, a region with limited exit points. Once they are committed, we seal the exits. Then we strike the hive nodes. The vote was split. Many species refused to abandon colonies even temporarily. But the swarm was still advancing, consuming system after system. Fear was growing. Then Velthrak stood. His entire delegation stood with him. All the Krovan in the chamber rose as one. For millennia we hunted alone, Velthrak's voice filled the chamber. We built an empire on the principle that the strong survive. But my brother Minho has shown me something I had forgotten. He looked at Minho. The pack is stronger than the individual. Humanity understands this. They will lose colonies, yes, but they will save the galaxy. This is what hunters do. We sacrifice, we endure, and in the end we always make the kill. Namira stepped forward. The Krovan Empire pledges its full fleet to this strategy. We will fight beside our human brothers. We will show the galaxy what apex predators can do when they hunt together. The weight of that declaration settled over the council. The Krovan had never made such a commitment. They were offering everything. Ambassador Park stood. Her voice was clear and strong. Humanity stands with the Krovan. We understand sacrifice. We understand persistence. Our ships, our resources, our lives if necessary. We offer them freely for the survival of all. The council voted again. This time it passed, barely. But it passed. The plan was approved. Humans in Krovan would lead the largest coordinated military operation in galactic history, the persistence hunt for a hive mind. The exhaustion of an endless swarm. Minho felt the weight of responsibility. Thousands of worlds, trillions of lives, all depending on a strategy based on an ancient human hunting method. What if we are wrong? He asked Velthrak quietly. The Krovan leader looked at him steadily. Then we fail together, as brothers, as pack, but we will not fail. You walked a void stalker to exhaustion. Your people walked prey animals to death for 100,000 years. My people did the same. This is what we are, Minho. This is what we do. We never give up. Never. That is our nature. That is our strength. The swarm has never faced that. They have no concept of persistence. They consume or they move on, but we just keep coming. Ships began moving into position. The evacuation started. The first colonies were emptied of people and left as bait. The Velkoth swarm took them eagerly, not understanding they were being herded. The greatest hunt in history was beginning. 2 persistence predator species against a hive mind that had consumed 17 star systems. The prey species watched nervously. They did not understand this kind of warfare, this patient, inexorable approach, but the hunters understood perfectly. This was what they were made for. Not the quick kill, not the ambush, the long chase, the wearing down, the absolute refusal to stop until the prey collapsed. The swarm would learn what countless prey animals on Earth and Kreshval had learned over millions of years. You cannot outrun a persistence hunter. You cannot outlast them. You can only hope they show mercy. But mercy was not part of the plan. This was survival. And when hunters fight for survival, they fight until the end. No matter how long it takes, the small human and the apex predator stood together. Brothers, partners, leaders of the greatest hunt the galaxy had ever seen. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Velkoth swarm continued its advance, not knowing it was already being hunted. Month 1 of the hunt. The evacuations were complete. 12 frontier colonies stood empty, their people safe in the core worlds. The Velkoth swarm took the bait. Minho coordinated from Nexus Prime, working 20-hour days, tracking the swarm's expansion, adjusting the retreat pattern, making sure every step drew them deeper into the trap. Velthrak was always beside him. The massive Krovan warrior had barely slept since the operation began. Together they studied displays, calculated trajectories, made cold decisions about which systems to abandon next. Captain Heron Song commanded the human fleet elements. Her voice came through the comm. Minho, the swarm just took the Varus system, moving to Delta Quadrant next just as predicted. Good, Minho said, though it felt wrong to call the loss of a system good. Pull back to waypoint 7. Let them chase. Velthrak placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember, Hunt brother, the prey does not know it is already dead. Patience. The galaxy watched in horror. Prey species saw only retreat, only loss. They did not understand the strategy. To them, it looked like the hunters were failing, but Counselor Thex was starting to see it. They are hurting it, just like that human did with the Void Stalker. My ancestors were prey. We know this pattern. We know it because we died to it. Month 3. The swarm had consumed 25 systems now, but its advance was slowing. The hive mind was struggling to coordinate across such vast distances. Mirai Kang analyzed the data. Look at this. Their adaptation rate is dropping. They used to counter our tactics within hours. Now it takes days. The hive mind is getting tired, Seokjin. Im nodded. Mental fatigue. Even a hive mind has limits. We have been changing tactics constantly, forcing them to adapt over and over. They are exhausting their processing capacity. Like running prey in circles, Namira said. The Krovan officer had joined the command team full-time. They expend energy chasing ghosts while we control the real direction of the hunt. Month 5. The strain was showing on everyone. Minho's eyes had dark circles. His hands shook from too much caffeine and too little sleep. But he could not stop. Would not stop. The swarm had taken 32 systems, spread across 200 light years. Its forces were thin, scattered, struggling to maintain cohesion. Ambassador Park visited the command center. She looked at Minho with concern. You need to rest. When it is done, he said. We are close. I can feel it. Velthrak rumbled agreement. The prey is weakening. Soon it will be time for the final chase. Month 6, the trap was ready. The swarm had been drawn into the Krell expanse just as planned. Only 3 exit points, all heavily fortified by the combined fleet. 300 human ships, 500 Krovan warships, and surprisingly vessels from every council species. Even the prey animals understood now. This was the moment. Win or lose everything. Admiral Taewon Huang commanded the combined human Krovan fleet. He was a veteran of 100 battles, but nothing like this. All ships in position, his report came through. Waiting for your signal, Minho looked at the tactical display. The swarm's central hive nodes were exposed, vulnerable. After 6 months of running, the moment had arrived. He looked at Velthrak. Together? The Krovan placed his hand over Minho's on the comm controls. Together, Hunt brother. As it should be. They spoke as one. All ships. Begin final assault. End this. The fleet moved, 800 warships diving toward the hive nodes. The swarm realized the trap too late. It tried to consolidate, tried to defend, but it was spread too thin, too exhausted, too mentally depleted. Krovan shock troops led the breaching actions. Massive warriors in heavy armor cutting through swarm defenses. Behind them came human special forces with precision weapons and tactical genius. The coordination was perfect. Krovan strength with human strategy, Krovan honor with human adaptability, two persistence hunter species working as one pack. Velthrak's daughter, Namira, led the assault on the primary hive node. Her voice came through the tactical net. Breaching now. For the pack. For the hunt. Young Mihan, the special forces operator, was with her, placing charges. 30 seconds to detonation. Minho watched the feeds. His heart pounded. 6 months of planning. 6 months of sacrifice. It all came down to these moments. The first hive node exploded. Then the second. Then the third. All across the Krell expanse, the swarm's central nervous system was being torn apart. Mireille's voice was excited. Hive mind coherence dropping. They are losing coordination. The Velkoth swarm began to collapse. Without the hive mind, the individual creatures became confused, disorganized. They stopped fighting as a unit, started fighting as frightened animals, Admiral Huang reported. Enemy forces in full retreat. We are winning. The command center erupted in cheers, humans hugging Krovan. Species that had never shown emotion were celebrating. 6 months of fear, 6 months of sacrifice, and now victory. Minho felt Velthrak's massive arms wrap around him. The Krovan warrior lifted him off the ground in a crushing hug. We did it, brother. We walked them to death. Just like our ancestors did on Earth in Kreshval. The galaxy will never forget this day. Minho laughed. Actually laughed. Relief and joy mixing together. We showed them all what persistence hunters can do. They watched the tactical displays together, watched the swarm crumble, watched victory unfold across 200 light-years of space. Velthrak spoke quietly. The galaxy mocked you for your size. They laughed at the small human. But I knew. From the first moment I saw you, I knew. You have the eyes of a hunter, the patience of the pack. And now the galaxy knows it too. Minho looked up at his brother, his friend, his kin among the stars. We showed them together, human and Krovan. The galaxy needed to see that predators do not only compete, sometimes we hunt as one. And when we do, Velthrak said, showing his fierce smile, nothing can stand against us. The cleanup took weeks. Scattered swarm creatures were hunted down and contained. The evacuated colonies were reclaimed. Slowly, carefully, people returned to their homes. Sunhee Ryu had coordinated the refugee efforts. She had kept millions of people safe during the 6-month evacuation. Now she worked just as hard to bring them home. She met with Minho and Velthrak. 32 systems sacrificed, but not one civilian life lost to the swarm. That is the real victory. You saved everyone. Minho shook his head. We all did it. Every species. Every ship. Every person who trusted the plan. But it was your plan, son, he insisted. Yours and the Krovan. The persistence hunt. Walking the swarm to exhaustion. No other strategy would have worked. 6 months after the final battle, the Galactic Council held a special session. This time there were no arguments. No debates. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was granted full council membership. But more than that, something unprecedented was created. The Accord of the Hunt. A formal alliance between humanity and the Krovan Empire. Councillor Thex himself made the announcement. The proud Solaran who had once mocked humans now spoke with genuine respect. We are prey species, he said. Most of us in this council evolved as prey. We survived by hiding, by breeding fast, by being clever in different ways. We did not understand persistence hunters. We thought strength was in claws and teeth and size, but the humans in Krovan taught us, showed us. True strength is in the refusal to quit, in the patience to outlast any opponent, in the bond of the pack that makes individuals into something greater. He looked directly at Minho. We laughed at the small human. We were fools, and we are grateful that you were patient with our foolishness. Minho was promoted to full ambassador, the youngest in human history. His inauguration ceremony was held on Nexus Prime with representatives from every species watching. Velthrak stood beside him. The massive Krovan warrior presented Minho with an honor blade. The weapon was beautiful. Dark metal with the Krovan symbol for brotherhood etched into the blade. An inscription ran along the edge in both languages. "Hunt, brother, the pack endures. Wear this with honor," Velthrak said. "You have earned it 1,000 times over. You walked with apex predators and proved that size means nothing to a persistence hunter." Minho accepted the blade. He felt the weight of it, the significance. "I will carry it always, as a reminder of what we accomplished together and what we will continue to do." That night there was a celebration in the Krovan sector. Humans and Krovan together, sharing food, sharing stories, sharing the bond that had been forged in the fires of the greatest hunt in galactic history. Deho Choi raised a glass, the xenobiologist who had explained so much to Minho at the beginning. "To persistence hunters," he said, "may we never forget what we are, and may the galaxy never underestimate us again." "To the hunt," the Krovan roared in response. "To the pack," the humans shouted back. Minho stood with Velthrak on an observation deck later that night. Just the two of them, looking at the stars. The same view from that first meeting. But everything had changed. "What do you see now when you look at the stars?" Velthrak asked. Minho thought about it. "Home, not just Earth, all of this. The galaxy. We are part of it now, truly part of it." "Yes," Velthrak rumbled. "And we are no longer alone. Neither of us. We found each other. Kindred spirits across the void." "What happens now?" Minho asked. "Now we build, together. The Accord of the Hunt is just the beginning. We will teach the galaxy about persistence, about pack bonds,